It's 20 past 6 in the evening, and the air in the committee room has grown heavy. The cameras are still running. Out in the hallways, reporters are waiting, screens are live, but inside the room there's no sound. Just the low hum of the ventilation system and the occasional rustle of paper. Kash Patel sits behind the table. In front of him, a glass of water, a notepad, and a closed folder. His hand rests motionless on the table. Speakers have directed questions at him, and he has given answers. Standard questions, standard responses, records, appointments, job descriptions, nothing unexpected. But now a different question has arrived. The representative from Vermont is looking at a document in his hand. The document is thin, maybe 2 pages. There's a stamp on it, or maybe not, but it's clearly official. The representative asks, "Mr. Patel, during your meetings with the Pentagon in October 2023, which agencies had representatives present?" Patel answers. He names 2 agencies, 2 names, known names. No one in the room reacts. Then the Vermont representative asks again. According to the records, there were 3 agency representatives at that meeting. Why didn't you mention the 3rd? Patel pauses. It's a very short pause, but long enough. Then he says, "I don't recall. If that information is in the documents, then it's correct." The Vermont representative places the document in front of him. The cameras don't zoom in on the document, but everyone is looking. Patel drinks some water. Then he places his hand on the table and waits, head slightly lowered. At this point, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is sitting on the left side. Until now, she hasn't said anything. She hasn't even taken notes. She's just been watching. Her hands are on the table, her gaze steady but relaxed. She scratched her head a few times, drank water once. That's all. But now she stops. She doesn't raise her hand, she doesn't stand up. She just closes her notebook. Slowly. The closing sound echoes in the room. Then she places her right hand on the table and looks at Patel. A long look. A silent look. Patel isn't looking at her. His eyes are on the document in front of him. The Vermont representative continues. "That 3rd agency was from the NSA, the National Security Agency. You organized that meeting, and you don't remember the NSA representative?" Patel responds. "I've had many meetings. It's not possible for me to remember every detail." It's a reasonable answer. The room can accept this. But the Vermont representative doesn't move on. He holds up the document and says, "At this meeting, information sharing protocols were discussed, and you proposed changing those protocols." Patel raises his head. "Which protocols are you referring to?" "Interagency information flow. Specifically, the sharing procedures for classified documents." Patel pauses. Then he says, "Such proposals are routine discussions. They're made to improve operational efficiency." The Vermont representative asks, "So was a change actually implemented after that meeting?" "I don't know." "You don't know. I don't make those decisions. Agencies determine their own procedures." OAC is still sitting motionless, but now she's picked up her pen. She's not touching it to the table, just holding it. Her fingers move slightly around the pen. Her eyes are on the Vermont representative. The Vermont representative pulls out another document. This time it's a thicker file, a blue cover. There's a code on it, but the camera can't read it. The representative says, "Mr. Patel, in November 2023, you prepared a report. This report concerned interagency coordination. Do you remember?" Patel says, "I prepared many reports. In this report, there was a specific recommendation. You said that certain information should be open to a wider audience. Is that correct?" "It depends on the context. What information are you referring to?" "Intelligence assessments." There's movement in the room, a small movement. The chairman leans forward slightly. The representative on the right looks at his notes. OAC sets down her pen, places it on the table, silently. The Vermont representative continues. "Who did you present this report to?" Patel says, "I presented it to the relevant departments according to standard procedure." "Who were the relevant departments?" "Department of Defense, State Department, and the National Security Council." "Anyone else?" Patel pauses. He reaches for the water, but doesn't drink. He picks up the glass, holds it, then sets it back down. "I don't recall anyone else." The Vermont representative opens the blue folder. He pulls out a page. He doesn't hold it up for display, but he reads from it. "This report was also presented to the Congressional Intelligence Committee. Is that correct?" "Possibly. Possibly or definitely. I'd need to check the records. The records are in front of you, you can check." Patel opens the folder in front of him. He flips through the pages, slowly flipping. The camera doesn't zoom in on the folder, but everyone is watching. The only sound in the room is paper rustling. Then Patel closes the folder and says, "Yes, it was also presented to the committee. Did the committee approve this report?" "The committee noted the recommendations. The approval process is a different mechanism. So were those recommendations implemented?" Patel doesn't answer. 2 seconds pass. 3 seconds. Then he says, "Some recommendations were evaluated." Evaluated or implemented. Those are 2 different things. The Vermont representative places the document on the table. Then he leans back and says, "Mr. Patel, 2 months after this report, 3 separate agencies changed their procedures. Do you think that's a coincidence? Patel says, agencies constantly update their procedures. This is a normal process, but these three agencies change simultaneously, in the same way, in the direction you recommended. I only provided advice, they made the decisions. Ocasio leaning forward slightly. Her hands are joined on the table, fingers interlaced. Her gaze is not on Patel, but on the Vermont representative, as if waiting for the next question. And the question comes. The Vermont representative asks, these changes, which information did they affect? Patel shifts in his seat. I'd need to review the specific changes. You don't know what they affected? The agencies have internal processes. I wasn't involved in implementation, but you wrote the report that led to these changes. I wrote a report. What happened after that was up to them. The room is quiet again. Someone coughs in the back row. The chairman checks his watch. AOC is watching Patel now, not with intensity, just watching. Her expression hasn't changed. The Vermont representative pulls out another page. This one looks different. It's not from the blue folder. It's a single sheet white, with a header at the top. He holds it but doesn't show it to the room. He says, Mr. Patel, after these procedural changes were made, did you receive any communication from the agencies? What kind of communication? Any communication? Email, memo, phone call. Patel thinks, I received many communications. Can you be more specific? Did anyone thank you for the recommendations? The question hangs in the air. It's a simple question, almost casual, but something about it makes the room feel smaller. Patel says, I don't recall specific messages of that nature. You don't recall or it didn't happen. I don't recall. The Vermont representative nods, then he looks down at the white sheet in his hand. He reads silently for a moment. Everyone waits. The cameras are still rolling. AOC's pen is on the table. Her hands are folded now, resting near the pen. Then the Vermont representative looks up and says, Mr. Patel, did you ever meet with anyone from a private contracting firm during this period? Patel's expression doesn't change, but his hand moves. Just slightly. His fingers tap once on the folder. I met with many people. Contractors are part of the process. Which contractors? I'd need to check my calendar. Your calendar is part of the records. We have it. Patel pauses. Then you already know who I met with. We want to hear it from you. Patel reaches for the water again. This time he drinks. A long drink. When he sets the glass down, it's almost empty. He says, I met with representatives from several firms. Standard briefings. Can you name them? Not without reviewing the calendar. The Vermont representative looks at the chairman. The chairman nods. Then the Vermont representative says, one of those firms was Cerberus Solutions. Do you remember meeting with them? Patel doesn't answer immediately. He's looking at the folder in front of him. His hand is on top of it now, flat, covering the label. I may have met with them. You may have. Or you did. I believe I did. When? I don't remember the exact date. It was December 2023. 3 weeks after the agencies implemented the procedural changes. Patel nods slowly. If that's what the calendar shows, what did you discuss with Cerberus Solutions? I don't recall the specific details. They're a defense contractor. You met with them 3 weeks after 3 agencies changed their information sharing protocols, and you don't recall what you discussed. Patel looks up now. I had dozens of meetings that month. I can't be expected to remember every conversation. The Vermont representative places the white sheet on the table. He doesn't push it forward or hold it up. He just sets it down. Then he says, Cerberus Solutions submitted a bid for a classified contract in January 2024, 1 month after you met with them. Were you aware of that? I don't handle contract bids, but you're aware they submitted one. I learned about it later. How much later? I don't remember. AOC uncrosses her fingers. She picks up her pen again, holds it vertically, tipped down on the table. She doesn't write anything, just holds it there. Her eyes are still on the Vermont representative. The Vermont representative continues. That contract was for data management services, specifically, services related to interagency information sharing. Does that sound familiar? Patel says, many contracts involve data management, but this one was directly related to the protocols you recommended changing. I didn't recommend any specific contracts. Did you recommend the company? No. Did you discuss their capabilities with anyone? Patel pauses. Discussions about contractor capabilities are normal. With whom did you discuss Cerberus Solutions capabilities? I don't recall specific conversations. The Vermont representative picks up the white sheet again. He looks at it, then looks at Patel. Mr. Patel, did you ever receive compensation from Cerberus Solutions? The room goes completely silent. The ventilation hum seems louder now. Someone in the back row stops moving. The chairman's pen freezes mid-note. Patel says, no. Never? No. Did they offer you anything? A position? A consultancy? Any form of future arrangement? No. Did anyone associated with Cerberus Solutions contact you about future opportunities? Patel's jaw tightens slightly. No. The Vermont representative nods. Then he says, we have emails, Mr. Patel. We have correspondence between you and a senior executive at Cerberus Solutions. Would you like to revise your answer? Patel doesn't move. His hand is still on the folder. His eyes are on the Vermont representative. 5 seconds pass. 10 seconds. Then he says, I'd like to see those emails. You don't remember them. I'd like to see what you're referring to. The Vermont representative looks at the chairman again. The chairman nods. A staff member approaches with another folder. This one is thin, manila-colored. The staff member places it in front of the Vermont representative, who opens it slowly. He pulls out several pages, stapled together. He looks at them, then looks up. He says, February 2024, you received an email from Marcus Chen, VP of Strategic Operations at Cerberus Solutions. He wrote, "Thank you for the productive conversation. We look forward to working together on the implementation side. As discussed, we'd like to explore a formal advisory role for you once your current position concludes. Do you remember this email?" Patel's face doesn't change, but his hand moves off the folder. He places both hands in his lap, out of sight below the table. "I receive many emails. Did you respond to this one?" Silence. "Mr. Patel, did you respond?" "I may have. You responded 2 days later. You wrote, 'Looking forward to continuing our work. Let's schedule a follow-up after the contract decision is finalized.' Do you remember writing that?" Patel doesn't answer. The Vermont representative continues. "The contract decision was finalized in March 2024. Cerberus Solutions was awarded the contract. It was worth $42 million over 3 years, and you exchanged emails with them both before and after the decision. Does any of this seem irregular to you?" Patel says, "I wasn't part of the contract decision process, but you influenced it. I didn't make the decision. You recommended the protocol changes that made the contract necessary. You met with the company before they submitted their bid. You corresponded about a future position, and you're saying you had no influence. I followed all proper procedures." The Vermont representative leans back. He's quiet for a moment. Then he says, "Mr. Patel, did you disclose these communications to anyone in your office?" "I wasn't required to." "Did you disclose them?" "No." "Why not?" "They were preliminary. Nothing was finalized." "But they happened." "Yes." OOC sets her pen down now. She places both hands flat on the table. Then she looks directly at Patel. This is the first time she's looked at him so directly, so deliberately. Patel notices. His eyes flick toward her for a fraction of a second, then back to the Vermont representative. The Vermont representative is looking at another page now. He's quiet, reading. The silence stretches. 15 seconds. 20. The chairman shifts in his seat. Someone whispers something in the back of the room. Then the Vermont representative looks up and asks, "Mr. Patel, did anyone else know about your communications with Cerberus Solutions?" Patel says, "I don't know what you mean. Did you tell anyone about these emails? About the possibility of a future position? It was informal. But did you tell anyone?" Patel hesitates. "I may have mentioned it." "To whom?" "I don't remember." "You don't remember who you told about a $42 million contract and a job offer?" "It wasn't a formal offer, but you told someone." "I may have." "Who?" Patel doesn't answer. His hands are still below the table. His expression is neutral, professional, but there's something in his eyes now. A calculation happening behind them. The Vermont representative places the page down. Then he reaches into the manila folder and pulls out one more document. This one is different. It's a single page, but it has a red border at the top. Official, classified, or formerly classified. He holds it, but doesn't read from it yet. He just holds it, looking at Patel. Then he says, "Mr. Patel, this document is a memo from the Department of Defense Inspector General's office. It was drafted in April 2024. It contains a preliminary inquiry into the contract award process for Cerberus Solutions. Were you aware of this inquiry?" Patel's expression changes now, just slightly. The professional mask slips for half a second. "No. You weren't aware that the IG was looking into the contract?" "No. The inquiry was opened because someone filed a complaint. Someone inside the government. Someone who had access to your emails and your meeting records. Do you know who that person was?" Patel says nothing. The Vermont representative waits. The room waits. The cameras are still rolling. Then AOC speaks. Her voice is quiet but clear. She says, "Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask a question." The chairman looks at her. Everyone looks at her. She hasn't spoken once during this entire hearing. Not a single word until now. The chairman says, "The chair recognizes the representative from New York." AOC doesn't stand. She stays seated, hands still flat on the table. She looks at Patel. Then she looks at the Vermont representative. Then back to Patel. She says, "Mr. Patel, when did you first learn that someone had filed a complaint about your conduct?" The room is completely still. No one moves. No one breathes. Patel looks at her. For the first time, he looks directly at her. His hands come up from below the table. He places them on the folder in front of him. He says, "I." And then he stops. He looks at the Vermont representative, then at the chairman, then back at AOC. He says, "I'd like to consult with counsel before answering that question." AOC doesn't blink. She just keeps looking at him. Then she says, very quietly, "That's not what I asked. I asked when you first learned about the complaint." Patel opens his mouth, closes it, opens it again. The Vermont representative leans forward. He places the red-bordered document on the table, face up. The camera zooms in slightly. The header is visible now. Preliminary inquiry, confidential. And then he asks, "Mr. Patel, did you learn about the complaint before it was filed, or after?" The silence is absolute. Patel's hands are motionless on the folder. His mouth is slightly open. His eyes are wide, just barely, but enough to see. The cameras are still rolling. The room is waiting. AOC is watching. And no one says a word.